Hello, librarians. My name is Celia Madison, and I'm the Library Marketing Manager here at Ingram Publisher Services. You're likely familiar with the Ingram name, but I have a slightly different role here. I work on the distribution side with our many independent publishers, helping them to connect with libraries and librarians that are interested in their titles. Today, I'm going to be sharing some of my favorite books that I'm most excited about for next year. Many of them come from publishers that you likely know well, and a couple of them are hopefully from folks that will be new to you. So I wanted to start at the top with some books that hopefully you've seen in the news recently. The first title I have to share today is Every Belly by Tao Lam. This is a stunning picture book about bodies and bellies. It recently won the Kirkus Prize for Best Children's Book. Tao Lam is an award-winning author and illustrator who works in a very distinct, unique cut paper style. As you can see here, the story is told from the perspective of Maddie, a young girl who is excited to go spend some time at the pool this summer. Because Maddie's eye level is a little bit lower than most of ours, she's looking at a bunch of different bellies as she walks outside. She sees all types of bellies, some that have scars, stretch marks, tattoos, insulin monitors, hair, you name it. And as she goes on this expedition, she takes note of all the amazing things that bodies and bellies can do. This is a really beautiful celebration of human diversity in all shapes, sizes, and colors, and it's presented completely without judgment through the eyes of a young girl. The collage art style is eye-catching and provides a gorgeous additional texture to the book. Next, I want to introduce you to John the Skeleton. John is a classroom skeleton who retires and goes to live on the farm with Graham and Gramps. As you can see in these pages, it is just a super quirky and funny little book. It talks about death and grief and the cycle of life in a way that is progressive, interesting, thoughtful, and completely understandable for children, making it a really wonderful resource for kids and caregivers who are thinking about death. But this is not just a book about grief and loss, it's also a celebration about the beauty of growing old, of appreciating the small details of life, and of course, the importance of caretaking for our loved ones. Again, we're super proud to have this one. It's a wonderful piece of literature from across the globe. Now I have a few adult titles that I would like to share with you. You've hopefully seen this one everywhere as it is a New York Times bestseller, Heart the Lover by Lily King. This one exists in the same universe as her also best-selling book, Writers and Lovers, but can absolutely be read as a standalone. It's a gorgeous literary romance along the lines of a Sally Rooney, Emma Straub, Elif Batuman, with that really strong literary commercial crossover. I just wanted to share this one really quick because I'm hoping to see it on a bunch of your end lists in December. Another title that you've hopefully seen, The Woman Dies by Ayoko Matsuda. These are short stories from Japan that are surreal, funny examinations of society. Europa is one of our great publishers of translation, and this is certainly no exception. It's another one that's gotten a lot of great buzz and will definitely appeal to those readers of world literature and Japanese literary fiction. Next, I have a wonderful new mystery series. This is The Dentist from Tim Sullivan, the first in the series. These are a major hit in the UK, and now they're finally available in the United States. It's a wonderful classic detective procedural with a detective who never lets a case slip through his fingers. His unique ways of looking at problems allows him to unravel cases that would stump a lesser detective. As I mentioned, this is part of a series, so in addition to this first one, we also have The Cyclist, which is out in January, and The Patient, which will be out in February. I want to mention some National Book Award finalists that we have. The True Story of Roger the Gullible and His Mother is a gorgeous novel, absolutely one of my favorites of the year. It's a rapturous story about a queer writer in Lebanon and his relationship with his eccentric, domineering, fantastic mother over decades. I can't recommend this one enough, and it's a finalist for the National Book Award, so we have our fingers crossed. The Queen of Swords is kind of a novel and kind of a fictionalized biography about legendary Mexican writer Elena Garro. She was a socialite, an indigenous rights activist, and a writer. In addition to telling Elena's story, this novel also serves as an alternative history of Mexico City and is another fascinating example of the kind of global literature that we work with. The last of our National Book Award nominees that I'll share is North Sun, or The Voyage of the Whale Ship Esther. This is a thoughtful examination of adventure in climate fiction, told through the story of a whaling ship at the end of the 19th century. It takes place as different technologies have emerged that have made whales less desirable as a resource and whalers less desirable as an industry. And so this crew of veteran sailors set out on what might prove to be an ill-fated journey. This is my last one of our previously published titles. I know we're a little bit past spooky season, but I would be remiss not to bring up Vampires at Sea. This is a fun, sexy read that can be enjoyed all year round. It's morbid and hilarious, the story of a vampire couple that go on a cruise with the intention of it becoming kind of an all-you-can-eat buffet. That is, until they meet this social media influencer who engages with their relationship in a very new and unexpected way. It's really funny if you are a fan of What We Do in the Shadows. and general queer drama and messiness, this is definitely for you. Next up, I want to go into some of our new children's titles. The first one I'm going to start with is Banana Express by Jung Jun Ho. This is from one of our Australian publishers, Scribe, their children's imprint, Scribble. Banana Express, The Big Journey Behind One Small Delivery, is a Korean picture book about the supply chain. It follows the journey of a single banana from the moment that you order it from your phone screen to the second that it arrives at your door ready to peel and eat. It looks at the bustling markets where fruit is sold, the nighttime workers that load trucks, and it shows all of the ways that we are interconnected in our capitalist global economy. It's a celebration of the work that it takes to feed a people, but it's also critical of the infrastructure that can be harmful to communities, individuals, and to the environment. Overall, it's just a beautifully done, interesting exploration of something that children are always curious about. How did this thing get to me? Hopefully, it makes it a little bit easier for their caregivers to explain why they can't have that thing at the exact moment that they want it. Another wonderful piece of nonfiction for young readers is Asian Folktales for Children. These are 7 folktales from China, Japan, Korea, India, the Philippines, Thailand, and Indonesia. They're beautifully illustrated by Singaporean artist Patrick Yi, and as you can see in these illustrations, they're adorable, sweet retellings of traditional stories. It includes a version of The Crane's Return of a Favor, a variation of one of my personal favorite folktales, The Crane Wife. It's an excellent first introduction or a many-time reintroduction to some of the best-known tales of these 7 different Asian nations. Huddle is one of our small publishers that focuses entirely on books about Asia for English language readers, and this is just one example of some of their children's work. Moving into fiction for very young readers, this is We All Love by Julie Flett. Julie is an absolutely beloved Indigenous artist who has won multiple awards for her work, including the New York Times Best Illustrated Children's Book Award. Her picture book Birdsong was recently chosen by The Atlantic as one of the 60 essential children's books published since 1936. We All Love is the follow-up to We All Play in the We Do Too series. It's a cute, sweet, poetic examination of the different ways that we care for each other. As you can see in these illustrations, there's a variety of people and animals presented. In addition to the English language text, Julie is a Cree speaker and has added a few words in Cree as well as a glossary in the back for children who are interested in learning more about this endangered language. My next title is Time to Leave Laverne by Lana Button and illustrated by Yang Ming Kong. When we first meet Laverne, she's a wonderful sunbeam of a girl who's so excited to go to the public library. She's having a great time reading and hanging out, but when it's time to leave, things go into chaos. Laverne can absolutely not handle having to go home. No matter what she's doing, as soon as her parents say it's time to pack up, she has an absolute meltdown, crying, screaming, throwing a fit, all of the things that send a shiver up a caregiver's spine. But later, Laverne reflects on her behavior and realizes that she doesn't enjoy the meltdowns that she's having. She figures out how to ask her parents for help and how to use her stuffed animals for comfort as she develops a better understanding of her feelings and remembers that she can always come back again to see her friends or visit her beloved library. This is a great example of practical social emotional learning. It's a wonderful guide for children to help them understand how to process their feelings whenever they, like Laverne, feel like they're going to have a tantrum. It's an excellent example of a child that's able to use the resources provided to her to make choices that make her feel happier and safer. It's so beautifully illustrated. You can feel Laverne's rage and sadness when she's throwing these tantrums, and it just has such a beautiful, diverse cast of characters, both in the main family and in the background images. This is another very cute book with a very pro-library and very pro-book message. In how to read a very serious book, a pair of kids decide that they are going to be big, serious readers, and they decided they are going to also look like big, serious readers. Illustrated with vibrant, eye-catching comic book style panels, it's a lighthearted, joyful story that is ultimately about the absolute pleasure of reading a wonderful new book, whether or not it's very serious. Next book is a fascinating and funny little folk tale called The Tightrope Wanderer. This is about a mysterious tightrope walker who travels from place to place to find interesting new audiences for his shows. Every time he's about to start a new show, he plucks a single hair out of his head. As he travels around the world doing his tightrope walking, he begins to realize that his hair is not growing back in the way that it used to. This is just a gorgeous fable about aging and the passage of time and how we use that time that we have. It's a powerful story about being courageous, and while I don't think that it's going to encourage children to try out tightrope walking for themselves, it definitely examines what it's like to do something that requires our bravery. We're expecting pretty major award attention on this one because of these very vibrant, unique, classic-looking picture book illustrations, so stay tuned for more. And my final picture book is another unique and very classic looking story about a boy and his father. The boy, the father, and the bear is a little bit of a hard one to explain, but I think I can let the illustrations speak for themselves. It's another kind of fable story, this one about a boy and his father who have lived together in the woods. When the father passes away, the boy has to discover how to live without him, how to embrace the challenges and the beauty of the world while still keeping the memory of his father very close to his heart. As you can see, these illustrations are stunning and unique, and they just have that classic quality to them. The author is also a musician, and so he's created a Spotify playlist of his own music that works as kind of a score to the book. Moving into middle grade, my next title is a more traditional comic book. This is Ready, Cassette, Go, part of a new series called Cassette City. I absolutely love this super groovy, super funky retro style illustration. Cassette City is kind of every kid's and maybe every adult's dream. It's full of arcades, amusement parks, all night monster movie marathons, and of course, everybody listens to the coolest cassettes. Melody Lee is the new girl in town, and she's not sure she really wants to be friends with the raccoon or the talking mushroom, but they know that if they all work together, they can absolutely win the Battle of the Bands competition. Like I said, this is the first book in a new series, and it's all about friendship, music, building community, and just learning to embrace new experiences. My final middle grade title is Seabird. This is a piece of historical fiction by Michelle Kadurazman. It's inspired by the true story of a real life 19th century noblewoman who became a major feminist leader in Indonesia, which at the time was still the Dutch East Indies and was under control by the Netherlands. Tini is a young girl in a noble family, and as part of tradition for girls that are her age and of her status, she is essentially confined to the family home in preparation for her arranged marriage. As she's living in isolation, she has basically a single outlet, which is writing letters to a former classmate. Between those letters and all of this time spent in silence, Kartini starts to think about what she wants, not just for herself, but for the women of her country. Like I said, this is a true story. Kartini did become a major activist and was a founding part of this larger feminist movement in Indonesia in the 19th century. Kartini Day is still celebrated widely in Indonesia as a celebration of this iconoclastic feminist thinker. And this is a lovely, intelligent exploration of her life as a child that middle grade readers will absolutely flock to. In addition to the novel, there are also some really beautiful pictures and resources in the back of the book about the real life Kartini. I have one YA title to share for you today. This Is Not a Test by Courtney Summers. This book was released in a previous iteration several years ago and became kind of a cult classic. This is the first time it will be available more widely. As you might gather from the cover, this is a zombie novel. Think The Breakfast Club meets 28 Days Later. Sloane Price is kind of going through it when the book opens. She has a violent and unhappy home life, and she's just lost her beloved sister, the one thing that made the chaos of home feel kind of worth it. So when the zombie apocalypse happens, she's a little bit fine with it. But when she ends up in her old high school with 5 other teenagers, the group of them will work together to try to survive as the zombie hordes go closer and closer. Sloane will confront her past trauma and her personal history as she makes the difficult choices to survive. This is what we're calling the director's cut edition. It has a sequel that's included in the book as well, and there is an upcoming film adaptation out next year. So this is a really great time to get on board for this beloved book. On to adult titles, I first want to share another fantasy novel. Cocoon is a sweeping fantasy from one of Japan's most beloved storytellers. This is about 2 girls that are fighting to keep their magical world alive. The Umar Empire has flourished for centuries, sustained by an incredible magical rice that is resistant to all disease and all parasites. But when a strange infestation strikes and starts to destroy the rice, the empire will encounter their first serious famine. Our 2 heroines will work together to uncover the secret of the rice and restore their nation. This is the first part of an epic ecological fantasy. To Bargain with Morals is the first part of a political fantasy that investigates ideas of colonialism through the story of a South Asian-inspired fantasy empire. Poppy is a native of the country of Guyana, but she's been adopted by a colonial viceroy. When she discovers that her arranged political marriage is a ruse, she flees and finds herself with someone known as the Jackal, an underworld criminal who has the magical powers that the colonizers are desperately trying to stamp out. The 2 of them will work together to start a rebellion to expel the colonizers of their beloved nation. This is a great title for readers of Babel or Jade City, other fantastic explorations that engage with the real histories of colonialism but are set in a fantastic world. Remaining in genre, this is Diver's Heart by the best-selling author of Den of Vipers. Deep-sea diver Peyton left her boyfriend Tyler and his 3 close friends 3 years ago. Though she was in love with Tyler when he proposed to her, she realized that she wasn't just in love with him, but all 4 of these men. She has since tried to put this all behind her and has become one of the world's best working divers. But when she encounters these men again, she will have to work together with them to conquer her toughest diving assignment yet. Like with Den of Vipers, this is a very, very spicy, dark romance. It features a reverse harem and has a very strong sense of adventure, so definitely only for mature readers. In romance, I have The Secret World of Maggie Gray. Maggie always believed that her grandmother's stories were just that they were stories, until she discovers that there is an underground world of magic and the supernatural just below her feet. When she enrolls in a magic historically black college, she'll encounter sirens and necromancers, nymphs, and talking cats. And she'll also meet Mimir, a werewolf from the clan that has sworn to destroy her family lineage. When Maggie is unjustly accused of murder, she will have to clear her name by investigating the crime alongside her sidekicks. This is an enemies to lovers, dark academia paranormal romance that is the first in the ongoing series. So I Met This Guy is kind of an anti-romance from UK bestselling author Alexandra Potter. The protagonist is also called Maggie, but it's a very different story. Maggie thinks that she's found the love of her life with Theo until he ghosts her. And he hasn't just taken her heart, he's also stolen her entire life savings. Now she and the reporter that she befriends are off to find him. As the pair journey across the world, the two will grow closer and become real friends and discover what it actually means to love and care for somebody. Gray's previous novels have been huge hits. The Last Love Note, Pictures of You were both beloved, and Start at the End is more of the same signature Gray blend of heartbreak and sweeping romance. This is a sliding doors romance between two soulmates that explores what could have happened if life had just gone a little bit differently. A big literary hit of the spring is The Calamity Club by Catherine Stockett. It might be a while since you heard Catherine, better called Kitty, but she was the best-selling author of The Help, a novel that skyrocketed her to absolute international fame. That was 16 years ago, and she's back with a new novel about resilience, survival, and heartbreak. The Calamity Club looks at a group of women in the 1930s in Oxford, Mississippi, and the challenges that they will face in order to survive the Great Depression. We are again expecting pretty major and significant coverage for this one, so stay tuned for more. Valerie Perrin's previous novel, Freshwater for Flowers, is an international bestseller. Valerie Perrin's previous novel, Freshwater for Flowers, was an international bestseller, and this is an exciting and ambitious new novel from her. Agnes is confused and surprised when the police call her to say that they've identified her beloved Aunt Colette's body. Colette died 3 years ago, but when Agnes is called in to identify the body, she realized that it is definitely Colette. So who died 3 years ago, and who was under her headstone? This is a gripping, intricate mystery about women with secrets and the lengths that family members will go to find out the truth about each other. It's perfect for book clubs and for lovers of Anne Patchett or Elena Ferrante. Elsa is a young woman trying to survive in the Weimar Republic. She is haunted by the tragic loss of her young husband, and she tries to drown her sorrows in elaborate dance parties. Think Babylon Berlin, Cabaret, even The Great Gatsby. It's the last gasp of German freedom before the Nazis are going to take power. Elsa and her friend Hans meet May, a sophisticated young woman with deeper underworld connections. Elsa decides to confront her dark past and stop hiding from herself. I know short stories can sometimes be a hard sell, but Julie Schumacher is such an excellent, hilarious writer that I think these will very easily find an audience. The absolutely hilarious Dear Committee Members was a bestseller and was a satirical, truly laugh out loud, funny look at petty grievances aboard a college campus. Patient Female has the same riotous sense of humor as it looks at ordinary women in weird circumstances. Like with Dear Committee Members, Schumacher is creative with form. She tells stories through syllabi and board games and makes light of bizarre, awkward social circumstances. Hagfish is one of our newer publishers. Their mission is to breathe fresh life into books by women that have been forgotten. And In the City by Joan Silber is an excellent example of that mission. And In the City, Pauline escapes to New York as a way to flee her humdrum past and to forge a life that's creative and full of love and connection and conversation. She falls into the bohemian world of the Greenwich Village, where she meets a variety of odd and questionable and sometimes amazing characters. But this is a novel about self-discovery, about a young woman who learns to define herself and to reject the many different narratives set out for her by others. And finally, I have John of John by Douglas Stewart. Stewart is the Booker Prize winning author of Shuggie Bain and Young Mungo, and this is another magnificent character study of a young man in the Hebrides. John returns home with no money, but with an art school degree, and he finds himself back in his old life before he left. caught between his strict Presbyterian father and his hot-blooded eccentric grandmother. This is a powerful portrait that explores young, queer, working-class life and will appeal to readers of Ocean Vuong and Andre Aciman. And those are all my titles for today. Thank you so much for your time and attention and for all of the wonderful work that you do on behalf of your patrons. If you have questions, whether you'd like a copy of one of these titles or if you want to get in touch with an author or a publisher, please don't hesitate to reach out. I will put my email address somewhere accessible for you to look at. And if you liked hearing about these books today and you want to hear more from me or from our publishers about books that might be of interest to you, I would love to have you enroll in our librarian match program. Again, just reach out and email me. Thanks so much.